Many people say life is too short, but is it truly short, or is this only an illusion we have created? Time is not the enemy. The problem is not that life is short. The problem is that we waste it. We fill our days with distractions, chasing things that do not matter, carrying worries that do not serve us. When we live this way, even 100 years feel insufficient. But when we live with awareness, with discipline, and with meaning, a single moment can carry the weight of eternity. Life is not short, it is only scattered. It is divided into fragments of regret, fear, and endless comparison. The key is not to extend life but to remove the illusion that it is short. Life becomes long. The moment you reclaim your attention, the moment you choose presence instead of distraction, the moment you act with intention instead of hesitation, your life is as vast as your awareness allows it to be. The illusion fades the day you stop measuring time in years and start measuring it in presence. So remember, you do not need more years. You need more moments lived fully. When the illusion is gone, you will see. Life is not short. Many people believe that life is short because they look back and realize how quickly the years have passed. Childhood feels like yesterday, youth slips away unnoticed, and suddenly one is standing in the middle of life, wondering where all the time went. This perception is powerful, but it is not reality. The truth is that life itself is not short. What makes it appear short is the way we spend it. Hours and days vanish into activities that bring no growth, no depth, and no clarity. Distractions surround us in countless forms. Endless scrolling, meaningless conversations, the constant pursuit of shallow entertainment. These are not evil in themselves, but they consume fragments of our time and energy. When gathered together, those fragments leave us with very little of substance, and so we look back and feel that life has slipped through our hands. It is not that life lacked length, it is that we did not give our attention to what truly matters. The human mind is easily seduced by the immediate. It chases small pleasures, reacts to trivial impulses, and runs after the urgent rather than the important. In doing so, we lose the ability to experience the depth of the present moment. Imagine a man reading a book while his mind wanders elsewhere, thinking of tomorrow or regretting yesterday. Even if he spends hours with the book, he will not remember its message. Similarly, many people spend years in their own lives without ever truly living them. They exist, but they do not inhabit their existence. Life begins to feel short, not because of its natural limits, but because our awareness is scattered across thousands of meaningless distractions. When we allow life to be stolen by trivialities, the length of years cannot save us. We may live to be 80 or 90. But the substance of those years may only add up to a handful of truly lived days. Distraction is not only external, it is also internal. The body may be sitting in one place, but the mind may already be somewhere else, planning, worrying, or desiring. When our mind is constantly traveling, the present moment feels empty, and so we try to fill it with more tasks, more noise, more consumption. But the truth is that the fullness of life cannot be found in quantity, it is found in presence. This is why ancient masters and teachers always emphasized stillness, silence, and meditation. They understood that distraction is the thief of time, and presence is its guardian. When the mind is calm and directed, even a single minute can expand into an eternity. And when the mind is restless and scattered, even entire years disappear without leaving a trace. This is why some people feel old at 30, while others remain youthful at 70. It is not about time but about how fully they have lived each moment. If we want to remove the illusion that life is short, we must first confront the truth that we have been wasting much of it. This realization may sting, but it is necessary. Without awareness of our distractions, we cannot reclaim our time. Every moment spent in distraction is a moment lost, but every moment spent in conscious attention is a moment regained. Imagine a person who wakes up each morning and immediately checks their phone, then spends the day moving from one trivial pursuit to another, only to collapse at night without having touched anything meaningful. This life repeated daily will feel like a blur, no matter how long it lasts. Now imagine another person who begins the day with clarity, with a practice of stillness, and carries awareness into every action, whether working, walking, or simply breathing. For this person, even the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the days feel abundant. Life does not need to be extended, it needs to be deepened. And the deepening begins with the simple act of removing distractions, of returning again and again to what matters most. Presence is not simply being physically alive at this moment, it is the conscious act of fully inhabiting the moment. Most people mistake existence for presence. They think that because their eyes are open, their heart is beating, and their lungs are breathing, they are truly living. But this is not so. To be present means to bring the fullness of your awareness into the here and now, to remove the wandering thoughts of the past and the restless expectations of the future. The human mind has a peculiar habit. It is rarely where the body is. We sit at dinner while thinking about tomorrow's work. We walk in nature while replaying yesterday's arguments. We talk with a loved one while silently scrolling through our own inner worries. In such a state, we are alive but absent. Presence, however, allows us to drink deeply from life. It takes the ordinary, the act of breathing, the sight of a tree, the sound of a friend's laughter, and transforms it into something profound. This is why presence expands life. It transforms fleeting moments into timeless experiences. When you are truly present, time itself begins to change its shape. Think of a moment when you were so immersed in an experience that the clock seemed irrelevant, perhaps during meditation, perhaps while practicing an art, or even while watching a sunrise. In such moments, minutes stretch and expand, and you find yourself not counting time but dissolving into it. Compare this with the experience of distraction, where hours vanish in meaningless activity, leaving no trace in memory. Presence leaves an imprint, distraction leaves emptiness. A life filled with presence therefore does not feel short, because each moment becomes rich, layered, and alive. The length of life is measured not in years but in the density of awareness. A single hour of true presence may feel longer and more nourishing than an entire week lived in absent-minded routine. This is why the masters say that one does not need to add more years to life, one must add more life to the years. Presence is the key that unlocks this abundance. Presence also deepens relationships with others and with yourself. Many people wonder why, despite being surrounded by friends, family, and colleagues, they feel a sense of emptiness or disconnection. The answer often lies in the lack of presence. To sit with someone while your mind is elsewhere is not to truly meet them. To listen with half an ear while preparing your response in advance is not to truly listen. Presence means to give your full attention, your undivided awareness, to the person or the task in front of you. This quality is rare, and because it is rare, it is powerful. When you are fully present with another human being, you not only expand your own life, but also expand theirs. They feel seen, heard, and valued in a way that transcends words. Presence in relationships creates moments that linger, memories that nourish, and bonds that endure. It is not quantity of time spent together that matters, but the quality of attention invested. One moment of true presence can heal wounds that years of neglect cannot. Finally, presence connects us to the essence of existence itself. When we are present, we move beyond the surface of life and touch its core. A bird flying across the sky is no longer just a bird, it becomes a revelation of freedom. A single breath is no longer just air entering the lungs, it becomes a reminder of the gift of being alive. In presence, we stop living in fragments, torn between past regrets and future anxieties, and we discover wholeness. This wholeness expands life, not by adding more days but by deepening the day we already have. The world does not need to change for life to feel abundant. What needs to change is the way we attend to it. With presence, the simple becomes sacred, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the shortness of life dissolves into timelessness. This is why presence is not just a practice but a way of being, a doorway through which life reveals its true length and depth. Life feels short not only because of distraction, but also because of fragmentation. Fragmentation means that our attention, our energy, and our emotions are scattered across too many places at once. We wake up and immediately divide ourselves. Part of us is worrying about the future, part is regretting the past, part is comparing ourselves to others, and only a very small part remains in the present. This scattered way of living weakens us. It takes the wholeness of life and breaks it into fragments, leaving us with the illusion that time is slipping away. Imagine carrying a vessel full of water but with 1,000 tiny holes. The water leaks out, drop by drop, until nothing is left. This is what happens when we live fragmented lives. Every thought of regret, every burst of anxiety, every comparison we make is another hole in the vessel of our being. By the time we look back, so much has leaked away that life appears short, not because it lacked abundance, but because we allowed it to drain unnoticed. Regret is one of the greatest sources of fragmentation. When the mind clings to what could have been, it divides your present into two, one part stuck in the past, and the other trying to move forward. This division weakens your ability to act, to decide, to live fully in the now. People spend years replaying old mistakes, broken relationships, or missed opportunities. They carry these fragments like invisible weights, never realizing that every moment spent in regret is another moment stolen from life. In truth, the past no longer exists, it survives only as a memory. To let regret fragment your life is to allow something unreal to consume something real. The moment you stop feeding regret, you reclaim a piece of your time, and if you can live without regret, you begin to experience the fullness of the present without division. Removing this fragment returns your life back to its wholeness. Fear of the future is another fragment that breaks life apart. Many live not in the day they are in, but in the days they imagine may come. They worry about what might happen, prepare endlessly for scenarios that may never occur, and live under the shadow of imagined outcomes. Fear divides the mind into countless possible futures, none of which are certain, but all of which drain energy. In this way, life feels rushed, fleeting, and unsatisfying because the present is never truly lived. Instead, it is sacrificed to 100 potential futures that may never arrive. Think of someone waiting anxiously for an exam, a meeting, or a conversation. The fear consumes them long before the event itself happens. By the time the event comes, they are already exhausted. In truth, they did not live that day, they only rehearsed their fears. To remove this fragmentation is to stop living in shadows and to trust the present moment to carry you through. Fear cannot add a single day to your life, but it can steal countless days if you let it. Another form of fragmentation is comparison. When we constantly measure ourselves against others, their achievements, their possessions, their appearance, we fragment our own sense of self. Instead of inhabiting our own path, we scatter our attention across many borrowed identities, never satisfied, always restless. This restless comparison makes life feel short because it keeps us running in circles, never grounded, never whole. Every moment spent comparing is a moment not spent living your own life. To remove this fragmentation is to return to your center, to recognize that your life is your own vessel, and it must be filled with your presence, not emptied by others' shadows. Only when regret, fear, and comparison are cut away does life regain its unity, and unity is the true expansion of time. A whole life, lived in alignment, feels vast. A fragmented life, no matter how long, feels insufficient. Most people measure life by the ticking of the clock. They believe that more years mean more life, and fewer years mean less. But this is an illusion, a shallow measurement of existence. Life is not defined by the number of hours or days we accumulate, but by the quality of intention behind them. Time is a neutral container. What you fill it with is what gives it value. Two people may live the same number of years, but one fills those years with purpose, growth, and awareness, while the other fills them with distraction, hesitation, and fear. To live without intention is to walk through life half asleep, letting time pass unnoticed. To live with intention is to awaken to every moment and direct it towards something meaningful. The shift from time to intention is the turning point that transforms existence from something ordinary into something profound. Consider how easily days slip away when we live without intention. A person may wake up, rush through the routine of the day, perform countless small tasks, and collapse into bed at night wondering where the hours went. This cycle repeats endlessly until weeks, months, and even years vanish. They have measured life by the calendar but have not truly lived it. Why? Because no intention guided their actions. Without intention, activity becomes noise. It consumes energy but produces no depth. Now imagine the same day lived with intention. The person rises with clarity, chooses consciously how to direct their energy, and carries a sense of purpose into every action, whether working, eating, or even resting. Suddenly the same 24 hours feel abundant. Intention has multiplied the depth of each moment, while time alone would have made it empty. This shows that the essence of life is not in adding more time but in awakening to the purpose behind what we do. When you shift from measuring life in time to measuring it in intention, you also free yourself from the anxiety of not enough. People often panic because they think they are running out of time, too late to learn, too late to change, too late to live differently. But this fear is rooted in the false belief that life is about the quantity of years. The truth is, every moment can be redirected by intention. A person who has wandered for decades in distraction can choose today, in this very moment, to live with awareness and purpose. That choice alone makes their life meaningful, no matter how many years remain. Intention gives power to the present. Time only reminds us of loss. When we begin to live with intention, we stop chasing length and start cultivating depth. One deliberate step forward can carry more life than 100 careless steps taken unconsciously. Intention also brings alignment to our actions. Without intention, we scatter ourselves in all directions, pulled by other people's expectations, by social trends, by fleeting desires. This fragmentation, as we saw earlier, drains life of its wholeness. But with intention, our actions become focused, aligned with our values and purpose. We no longer waste hours chasing what does not matter, because intention filters out the unnecessary. Imagine an archer aiming at a target. If he fires arrows randomly in every direction, he wastes both energy and time. But with clear intention, even a single arrow can strike the mark. Life works in the same way. It is not about how many years you fire into the air, but how many intentional arrows you release toward what truly matters. When you live this way, you discover that the measure of life is not time at all. It is the clarity and sincerity of your intention. The illusion that life is short is not removed by wishful thinking. It is dissolved through discipline and awareness. Discipline is the structure that protects your time, while awareness is the light that reveals how you are spending it. Without these two, life easily slips into chaos. People often confuse freedom with the absence of discipline, believing that doing whatever they want whenever they want will make life abundant. But what actually happens is the opposite. Without discipline, life becomes scattered, wasted in habits that drain energy rather than create depth. Awareness without discipline is like light shining into a broken vessel. The water still leaks out. Discipline without awareness is rigid and blind, producing repetition without growth. But when discipline and awareness move together, they create a harmony that allows life to expand beyond the illusion of shortness. You no longer live in reaction, you live in conscious direction. Discipline is not about punishment or restriction, it is about alignment. It means setting boundaries for yourself, so that your attention does not scatter in every direction. The world is full of distractions designed to steal your focus, endless notifications, shallow pleasures, and constant demands on your energy. Without discipline, these distractions consume your hours and eventually your years. But with discipline, you reclaim ownership of your time. A disciplined person decides what deserves their attention and what does not. They choose stillness over noise, simplicity over excess, and growth over stagnation. Such discipline creates spaciousness, and in that spaciousness, awareness naturally deepens. When you say no to what is meaningless, you create the possibility of saying a full and complete yes to what is essential, and it is in that yes that life begins to reveal its true length. Awareness is the second force that dissolves illusion. To be aware means to see clearly, to notice how your mind drifts, how your emotions arise, and how your actions shape your days. Most people live in mechanical repetition, unaware of the patterns guiding them. They wake, eat, work, consume, and sleep, repeating this cycle endlessly without pausing to observe it. Awareness interrupts this cycle. It allows you to step outside the fog and recognize where your life is truly going. Awareness teaches you that life is not short, but your perception is narrow. Each moment is vast when seen clearly. A single breath, when observed with awareness, can feel more expansive than the hour lived unconsciously. The act of noticing brings depth. The act of being present reveals abundance. Awareness turns ordinary life into extraordinary experience, because it removes the veil of forgetfulness that makes time appear scarce. Together, discipline and awareness form the gateway to wholeness. Discipline gives your life structure. Awareness fills that structure with light. Discipline ensures that you do not lose yourself in distraction. Awareness ensures that you do not become rigid or blind. Through this union, the illusion of life's shortness fades. You no longer rush, because you no longer feel that life is slipping away. You no longer panic about time, because every moment is lived fully. The person without discipline and awareness believes life is too short because they are constantly losing it. But the person who cultivates both discovers that life is vast, rich, and sufficient. In this way, discipline and awareness are not burdens but gifts. They are the tools that dissolve illusion and reveal the fullness that was always present. When practiced together, they transform not just how long you live but how deeply. So when people say, life is short, remind yourself this is only an illusion. What is truly short is our attention, our awareness, our willingness to live with intention. Life itself is vast, but we shrink it by scattering ourselves in regret, in fear, in endless comparison. We shorten it when we let distractions steal our moments. We weaken it when we live without discipline, without awareness. But the truth is this: each day that arrives is a complete life in itself. Each breath is already a miracle, each step an opportunity. If you learn to live with presence, with clarity, with intention, then even a single moment contains the depth of eternity. Do not ask for more time, do not wait for more years. Instead, ask yourself, how can I remove the illusion right now? How can I be whole in this very moment? For when the illusion fades, you will see clearly. Life is not short. Life is enough. Life is already complete.